Hello, everybody. My name is Ben Gromicko. I'm from INTERNACHI. That's the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. We're the world's largest organization of residential and commercial property inspectors. We essentially train and certify individuals who want to be inspectors all over the world. And we have a lot of things to offer to our members. And one of them is we do classes like these. These are free live online classes. You may be attending right now, or you may be watching a YouTube video of a recording. So welcome. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much. We had almost 400 individuals, students register for this class. This class is how to perform a home inspection, essentially. Home inspection training class number 14. There's a few URLs that I want to go over. But first, some logistics. You should be able to hear me. I can't hear you. You should be able to see me. I can't see you. If you wanted to talk, ask questions, talk with other students, feel free. There's a little text chat field at the bottom right corner of your screen. Typically, it's down there. So you can go away and ask questions before, during, after, and talk to other students. And if you need to leave, do a home inspection, no problem. Everyone who registers, like yourself, receives a link to the video recording. 3 URLs that I wanted to show you is nachi.org/webinar. That's our main webinar page for the upcoming classes and also all the past classes that we've done for the past few years. They're all there. nachi.org/everything is a page where we try to put everything. So if you're looking for something, particularly new inspectors, new members, go to that page, nachi.org/everything, and there will be a 15-step checklist for running a successful home inspection business. 15 steps. And so go there. nachi.org/contact, that's a page where you can find the entire INTERNACHI staff. We're spread out all over the world. For example, Kenton Shepard, he's in Mexico. We have a couple people in New Mexico, some on the East Coast. Most of us are in Boulder, Colorado, but we're all on that contact page. So if you need help, if you need to ask a question, feel free to contact us. That is what I wanted to show you and tell you. We're going to perform a home inspection on this house. And what we do is we review all the pictures. I actually performed this home inspection, and we'll review all that. We have 300 pictures to review. We'll go through them really fast, but we have about an hour. And if you want to ask questions again, feel free. And I start off every inspection with the standards of practice. We talk about this a lot in our classes, our live classes and online classes. So I was asked yesterday, actually, John McKenna, our infrared certified trainer, a great class that he offers, was talking about the procedure a home inspector would take during an inspection, right? And we typically, the veterans, the experienced inspectors, have a pattern that we actually follow, but we may not actually be thinking about it. We probably don't even have a checklist, a flow chart we just know where to go. So I think we came up with an idea. It's really the standards of practice. The standards of practice, if you're wondering where to begin a home inspection, well, refer to the standards of practice. The standards of practice outlines the systems and components that you're required to inspect, and you can use that pattern in your inspection. So you use the standards of practice as a foundation upon which to do a great home inspection. And it should be a mirror reflection of your inspection procedure. So for example, the standards of practice, the first section of the standards of practice, we'll go there, is roof. And it talks about all the things you're required to inspect on the roof and not required to inspect on the roof, and things you're required to report and not report. That's great. That is going to be how I do my inspection. You can do it in any way you want. You can start in the kitchen if you want. But I personally, that's my brand. I get up on the roof. I get there early actually, so I can get up on the roof before my client comes because I don't take my clients up on the roof. So if I can get there 15 minutes early, half hour early, I'm going to go up on the roof. I don't have to bother the homeowner if they're occupying the home during the inspection, or the listing agent or seller's agent. So I go up on the roof and I do the roof inspection. So the standards of practice, that's what I use to reflect my inspection procedure. And that actually is a reflection also, the standards of practice is a reflection in my inspection report. So my inspection report reflects what I did at the inspection and the standards of practice that I followed during the inspection. The chapter by chapter, the first section of my inspection report, we can go over it too if we have time, is the roof. So the standards of practice says about the roof. I do my inspection procedure, roof is first. My inspection report, roof is first. And then also, I provide all my images and video. I take video of my inspections to my client in that order as well. So all my images that I take are in that order, and the video that I take is in that order. And also the home maintenance book. If you showed up early, we talked about it a little bit. So this is a home maintenance book titled Now That You've Had a Home Inspection. And you can buy it from our e-commerce partner. Get that up there, inspectoroutlet.com. And the chapters of the home maintenance book reflect the images that I took, the report that I write, the inspection procedure that I do, and the standards of practice. It actually sets the expectation for your client. Everything, the word is congruence, right? Everything that I do is in alignment and harmony with everything else. Right? So my client has this really comprehensive, clear to understand experience, and the inspection report, the materials that I give reflect that experience. Also the home maintenance newsletter. So we have a homeowner newsletter, a free homeowner newsletter, monthly, 5 years of monthly newsletters that go out that can be customized for your clients. My inspection agreement also is structured to reflect all of the things that I've done in the report, my inspection procedure and the standards of practice, refers to the standards of practice, and also my marketing. So what I do at the standards of practice as my foundation is also reflected in my marketing and my brand. I inspect the roof in a certain way that's different from all of my competition, for example, and my website. And I take all of that stuff that we just talked about and I represent it as my brand on my website, so that while I'm sleeping or while I'm doing an inspection, someone visiting my site, which is how I'm hired nowadays, someone visiting my site understands what I do. It's a really nice, comprehensive message. It's in congruence with everything. It's in alignment and harmony with everything. And everybody understands what I do, and I set the expectation of my clients. And if they like that message, they tend to hire me. If they don't, they go somewhere else. So that's where I start. And the standards of practice are at nachi.org/SOP. Let's go there. And here it is. So the first section of the standards of practice is roof. If you click it, you go down to roof, and it says, inspectors shall inspect from the ground level or the eaves. You are not required to walk upon any roof surface. The roof covering materials, the gutters, the downspouts, the vents, flashing, skylights, chimney and other roof penetrations, the general structure of the roof from readily accessible panels, doors, and stairs. You have to describe the roof covering materials and report as in need of correction any observed indications of active roof leaks. That's pretty easy. I understand that. So let's do that. My brand, well, I bring tall ladders to the inspection. I was a home builder, installed many roofs. I was trained to walk on roofs. I use safety equipment, safety procedures. So don't walk upon any roof. It's not very safe at all. But when I get up there, I basically take pictures of every field, every plane, every surface first. And then I focus in on a few things. I also take my brand picture. This kind of picture is in the inspection report so that someone else other than my client, maybe a friend of my client, a coworker of my client, reading the inspection report, because I know I give multiple copies out and they pass them out, and the real estate agents read them too. They'll come upon this picture and go, that's the inspector I want to hire. So that is what I do in order to beat my competition. And also, I make sure that my clients know that I inspect the roof up close. So my hand is typically in the pictures, the video, and the inspection report a lot, so that they understand I'm there personally and up close. And while I'm on the roof, I want to take a look at the gutter as well, and also the back yard and any components back there. Let's see. Let's see if I can get something to pop up for me. So right here, when I'm on the roof, I have an advantage to take a look around, and I see that there's some kind of stone retaining wall, a fence with netting on it, but it doesn't extend over to the neighbors, and a drop-off cliff. And this is 30 feet below, maybe not that much, 15 feet below up here. Nice little backyard. I know I have a deck, so I want to get on that deck. So from this vantage point, I know that I have a short yard. I'm going to take a couple pictures. There's no shed. There's maybe if there's a child, I'm thinking I have 3 children, small children. If there's a child, I want to make sure that there aren't any safety hazards. I'm not required to inspect this stuff in the back, but I'm going to take a look at the grading, how water drains away, but I'm going to keep in mind some safety items that maybe my client would appreciate me taking a look at. And that's from the roof. And the roof is in good shape. This roof is in good shape. New, actually, is not original to the roof, to the house, because I could see from the neighbor has an older roof in poor shape, original. So I can kind of gauge the roofing materials. And there's a step flashing. So I can see counter flashing. It's sealed along the stucco. That's nice. The workmanship is really sweet. And I can also see step flashing installed. So that's really good. I like that a lot. Really good details. And so if you don't want to inspect the roof by standing on the roof, there are a few options. You're required to inspect it, but you can inspect it from the ground, maybe some binoculars, or we have a spectroscope. So you can inspect the roof from the ground, essentially, using the spectroscope. And the spectroscope is a tool, again, from inspectoroutlet.com. And it's a really high-tech way to inspect the roof. So this pole extends 38 feet, I think it is, up in the sky. There's a wireless connection from your mobile device, iPhone, iPad, for example, and it connects to the camera on the top of the pole, and it's very lightweight, and it collapses down to about 6 feet. And there's some pictures there. So this is the home inspector down there, and the pole goes all the way up to the top. Yep. So that's a great way, a great tool that you may want to consider using. You may have to if you and I were in competition, because I'm getting up on the roof. How are you going to distinguish yourself from others? How are you going to ensure that you are inspecting the roof just as good as me? If I'm inspecting the roof better, how are you going to beat me in the market? You have to think like this. What is your brand? How do you do things? What is your message? How do you inspect the roof that's better than your competition? If you can do that for every system and component, you basically are better. You should be hired, regardless of your prices, right? It's the service and value of what you bring. As I come down the ladder, I see some opening gaps where the different materials intersect. There's a shift, could be a little settlement. I'm not too concerned. I'm concerned about water penetration. It's kind of a maintenance issue. But I'm going to take a look on the inside, see if that window was jarred, maybe replaced. Something's going on. And this is always a problem. These little bay window roofs. The flashing is not grooved into the masonry, unfortunately. Basically, you get a piece of metal, you glue it up, and you fasten it onto the masonry. That's not always great. So when I'm on the inside, I keep remembering what I see on the outside. Got that stuff on the back side of the backyard, and now I have this in the front, and I want to make sure I see this on the inside of the home, because there's usually a problem in my experience with this type of installation. So now I'm done with the roof. So I get down from the roof and I use a mobile device. That's how I can do 2 inspections a day. I spend about 3 hours per inspection, about an hour driving in the morning and in between, and I'm home before 5. And so mobile devices are really handy. When you do the inspection, you stop after every system, enter the data, the condition of the roof and all the things that you were supposed to inspect, tap, 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 and make sure you took your pictures. And now you're done with that system. I'm done with the report for that entire system. I don't have to write it at night at home. I want to be with my kids, my family, my wife, chill out. I don't want to be in the office. I'm done writing. So when I'm driving home, I'm actually done, right? I'm done with my work. I'm completely done with my inspection reports because I buy software with mobile device capabilities. A lot of people ask me that. And then by this time, my client, remember I show up early? By this time, my client is in the driveway, or maybe they're hanging around and I can talk to them. I come down, first thing I do is, if I can write my report, great. I smile and shake my client's hand, and typically their agent, maybe family members, and pass out a lot of cards. I don't give 1 card to a person. I always give 5. I pass them out. And you can order marketing through InternetSheet. We design all the marketing for you for free. And then I take my client around the exterior. I tell them about the roof. And then I take her around the exterior. And it's a quick run through with her or him. And then I send them in. Let them measure, let them look around, let them snoop around, let them look at the appliances or things like that, making plans for home improvements, while I go around alone the exterior and do the exterior inspection in detail. And how do I do the exterior inspection? Well, I follow the SOP. The SOP tells me exactly what to inspect. The inspector shall inspect these things. Yep. So it's pretty easy. That's the procedure that I use. So on this home, narrow home, townhome, I'm looking at this trip hazard at the front walk. The walk could be raised up. Always take a picture of my truck. And when I inspect a door, I inspect top left corner, top right corner, bottom left corner, bottom right corner. This door tread landing area was sealed up with some masonry that's probably going to crack later on, but they probably should seal it with something that can expand and contract. I always take a picture of me taking a measurement of any trip hazards. This is good. Easy 7-11 rule of thumb that I use. There are personal items in my way. Picture's worth 1,000 words. I can't see everything. There's dense vegetation and a lot of things in my way. And they were using some spray stuff. No big deal. But I was taking a picture of the window, actually. The header on the window, it's an iron steel I-beam, essentially, above the window opening, holding up the exterior materials, the masonry materials above this opening. The mortar is then applied on the outside. Typically, it's really thin, like 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. When the metal is exposed to moisture, which sometimes happens, it swells a little bit, pops the masonry. The mortar is loose, it blows out. The aluminum capping is sometimes open as well. And this can be just easily sealed up along here. And we can talk about weep holes as well later on. Frost-free hose bibs. This is a home in Pennsylvania, so it's a cold in the winter climate, and these water pipes, these water faucets, hose bibs, freeze up and burst. So this should be a frost-free hose bib, and it's not. There's the electric meter, electric line going down into the panel, down in the basement. I'm assuming there's a basement now. And a disconnected downspout to the underground pipes. You're not required to inspect underground pipes, underground anything. And there's a bit of a disconnect between the downspout and this underground pipe. Probably the grade just settled a few inches, and no one's noticed it because it's under dense vegetation. And I love to take a look at a close look where different materials intersect with each other. How does this wood, which is a one inch plywood piece of material, natural wood, is it wicking up? I mean, the bottom is probably not primed or painted. I don't see any flashing, kicking out water from the wall, maybe the space behind the exterior material. It's simply sealed up. There's some deterioration of the paint and the wood. So I'm at least going to tap, push on my fingers, push with my fingers, tap with my screwdriver, and probe with my screwdriver. So that's something to be monitored. There's exterior drainage, underground pipe right there, probably connected to the downspout underground pipe. Some utility connections, main water shutoff valve in the front yard, and don't forget the doorbell. Now the deck. Before we get to the deck, I have some questions here, I think. Stephen asks, how do you handle when a roof is too tall for you to comfortably climb? I don't do anything that's not safe, really. I pad up, suit up, just to go in the crawl space or an attic. Got really nice air to filter the air when I go in, protective gloves, crawl space gloves, knee pads. I'm very safe. And if it's a slippery roof, if there's any ice, I don't go up. I just have really big ladders so I can get up there. I'm 90% of the way there, and I'm just trained and comfortable to go up. So 212 to 412, 512, 612, I'm really uncomfortable. 612, I've gone up them, but I don't like to. So I come back down and I just simply write an inspection restriction. Can't get up on the roof. So I have really high-powered binoculars. I look, and I just never have found carrying a really big lens on a digital camera useful. I just look with my eyes, and then I take pictures, and then I put that in a report. So I wouldn't have all of the really cool up-close pictures of the roof when I do an inspection from the ground. Is there a video? I only get sound. Oh, Dennis is having problems. If anyone is having problems, just log out and log back in. That usually works. Does Ben use home gauge? Well, I don't do inspections anymore. So I just am the director of education. The only inspections that I do are not paid inspections, and are typically for training purposes. And I have used home gauge and Home Inspector Pro and Inspect View and a couple others. Can't remember them now. I used them all. So I would go to Inspector Outlet if you want a deal. So those software vendors, they partner up with our e-commerce partner, inspectoroutlet.com, and provide exclusive discounts to our members, InternetShe members. It's a benefit for being a member of InternetShe. What is 7-Eleven? 7-Eleven is just something that I remember. 7-Eleven is a convenience store where I grew up. And then I went about 7 inches high and about 11 inches for tread. So the rise and run for a step. In my head, I went about 7-Eleven. If I see something really off, remember, I'm not really measuring. I'm not a code inspector. I know I can refer to the code and get it really exact, but I'm not that. So I dwell within the scope of a home inspection, which is generalization and qualification, not quantification. And so that's just a simple rule of thumb in my head. Some clients want to remain with me throughout the inspection, inside and out, constantly asking questions, not giving me any time to write the report. How do you handle these situations? Great question, Ron. Actually, I prefer them to be with me. It took me a year or two to get comfortable with that, but I want my client to be with me. I can inspect, take pictures, and write the report while talking. It is a performance. When you get really good at performing home inspections, it is a performance. You have to talk all the time, like I'm doing now. I'm just talking and talking and talking and talking. So I feel more comfortable when, especially when the uncle comes, right, who's an electrician or a master or something. I love those people coming and being with me and asking the hard questions. I guess to answer them, you just have to have confidence, which takes time, but also you need to train yourself. So if you have ignorance, no disrespect, if you're ignorant about something, if you don't know something, right, then you're not going to be confident in answering those questions. In those situations, you should just say, I don't know, but I'll find out for you later. But if you are fully trained, take InterNACHI's courses. They're all free and online to members. Take them all. Be really trained well so that you know technically what to do. Now all you got to do is just communicate that. And that just takes time and practice. Yeah, I hope I answered your question. And this is what I'm doing. I get kind of diverted and then I don't know where I was. So I think I'm on the deck, right? Oh, some other questions coming up. Have you used Home Hub Zone? And do you have any comments? I have no idea what that is. Dawn, realistically, how much annual income can a successful home inspector expect to make? So it's very different for very different people, right? You could have the same donut shop franchise and make very different money. One can be successful, one can go out of business. I don't think there's a real good answer to that. So what I'm going to say is what I made. I made over I made a lot of money. Our company made about $500,000 gross, and we had at our height a few inspectors and a few trucks, and we were rocking and rolling in our place. And I made a lot of really good living. Bought a home, paid it off in a few years, raised a family. It's a really great. It was the best thing that I ever did in my life. I came from building radon kits in college to being a radon tester to being a backhoe operator, installing radon mitigation systems, building barns, building homes, and then I became a home inspector. And out of all that, being a home inspector is the best. Love what I'm doing now, but in relation to being a home inspector, it's really not just financially great, but you help people every day. And that's what I really thrive on, meeting people I've never met before, and I have 3 hours of their life, and I can talk to them and really help them out. Making a lot of money is really two things. You got to be good at what you do, and you got to be good at the message that you give. You got to be good at marketing and good at inspections. And InterNACHI provides everything. That's why we have that everything page. Everything you need to be successful is there. Decks. Love decks. Love above ground decks. In Pennsylvania, for some reason, they threw up decks as fast as they possibly could, and they were all really bad. And there were a lot of deck collapses. So this one is about 15 years old, 10 years old, 15. Same age as the house. So there's spindle spacing. So this deck was not built to code when it was built. Some 30-year-old decks, they have spindle spacing that you could fit a truck through. I'm not a code inspector, but what I know is from modern standards, building standards, best practices, call it whatever you want, code, I know that this space is supposed to be really small so that a child's head doesn't fall through. I'm calling it out, and it's actually required by the standards of practice. So I take pictures of those hazards. GFCI should be protected. The vinyl siding looks good. take a picture all around. I don't know if you noticed, but I just went like this, took a picture, took a picture, took a picture, took a picture. So I took 300 pictures on this townhome inspection. I don't take one or two. I take 300 or 400. And again, here's an opening in the exterior building envelope, the exterior wall. Top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. Get in there, get up close. So there's bottom left, and I see flashing. Great, awesome. I see metal. There's some separation, like they use step flashing or something underneath the rear door slider. This would be on the first floor. There's a basement, a deck on the outside, right? And this is the door slider door to the deck in the back. And I see flashing, ledger board flashing, but I can actually pull the top edge of the ledger board flashing, and it's been heavily siliconed with white silicone, clear silicone. So this is a hazard, right? This is a condition that's conducive to deck collapse. I use the word imminent a lot. It shall happen if left go. This deck will collapse. I'm not even sure if it's safe now to even walk on because of this condition. It is historically known if you have a deck attached to a house and the ledger flashing is bad, in this kind of climate, a wet climate, it's even wet now, that area is going to be loose, the deck's not going to be attached, and it's not reliable. So I get up close. There's a little macro, micro setting on every camera. Get up nice and close. I see that's the insulation sheathing board of the exterior wall. So now we're even through some layers of exterior material. And my screwdriver. I love to throw my Husky screwdriver right in a hole to show scale, even though my hands are in there. And there's a hole over there too, at the corner edge of the deck. So the deck is not reliable. I get down from the deck. Now I'm doing the exterior, right? Did the roof, front, exterior. I'm on the deck. I took off my shoes. I have indoor shoes only. I walk through the house with my indoor shoes only. I come out, I'm holding my exterior shoes, put my exterior shoes on to get on the deck, do my deck thing, come back out, indoor shoes only, go down in the basement, I'm carrying exterior shoes, go out the slider door of the basement, put on my exterior shoes. I respect the house that I'm inspecting as if it were my own. This deck floor structure is unsafe. It's a material defect, which poses an unreasonable risk to someone who's standing on it, like a home inspector. I have missing floor joists, supports. This board is actually pulling out. And how do I find this? Well, I look at a component, and if it's a structural component, I want to know how it's supported or how it's connected. If there's an end over here, I want to see that end. If there's an end over here, I want to see that. It's very simple. So for all the floor joists, wow, I would love to see where these things are supported. And on the outside ledger board area of this deck, it's actually pulling away. It's withdrawing. You can see the nails. You can see the nail right there. So that's kind of fun. So we have a lot of problems. The flashing is not installed properly. We have openings in the flashing, right? We have some weird stuff with the different types of lag screws. Like they installed this one first, and then they came back and installed this one later. I don't know why. They're different diameters. So if this one is required to be this diameter, why is this one a smaller diameter? Why are there screws with rusty nail heads here? Why is this bottom of the floor joist hanger rusted and corroded? Same thing here, same thing here. This is all messed up, and I don't see any flashing here. So there's supposed to be flashing here, Z flashing here, ledger board flashing here. So a lot of problems with the deck. Needless to say, I didn't ask anyone to go on the deck with me. So ledger board flashing, we actually have a video. Let's look at both over and under ledger board flashing. So I don't know if you recognize this guy. Now the exterior wall covering below the deck. The bottom Z flashing. counter flashing, sometimes a self-adhesive membrane, the ledger board itself, the top Z flashing, counter flashing that overlaps the Z flashing, and the exterior wall covering, which overlaps the counter flashing. Aluminum flashing is... That's a little training video that we did with some cool graphics, just upon the complexity of installing a proper deck board, ledger board flashing area. It's really complex, and it performs really well when you do it right. And it's a lot of fun to inspect when it's not done well at all. So there's the fence, right? And you can see there's a bit of a drop off right here. To the left, this is all netted, right, with metal netting. But the neighbor lives over there, and they have a fence, but it's not netted. So small kid, dog, cat, turtle, that could find a way to and fall right through down here. So I put that in my report just to help my client. There it is there. Kind of a strange thing that they did to fit a house on a cliff. American Standard looks like an air conditioner, but it's actually a heat pump. And if you wanted to age a heat pump or an air conditioning unit or a hot water tank or air conditioner, did I say air conditioner? Use the serial number, and you go to, this is the serial number here, right there. I take a picture of all of the manufacturing plates, and you go to building, let's get it here right, buildingcenter.org. This is a fantastic website. I want to take you there. And you click, get the age of the HVAC unit. You have to pick the manufacturer out of this list. So I have to go back, and it's Heritage 11. No, that doesn't sound right. It's American Standard. Heritage 11 is the model number. So you go back. American Standard is right there. You could do this like after the inspection. They don't have an app, very good app for this, to do it in field. And you have to pick the format for the serial number, and that'll help you determine the age of the unit. And this is the format that I have. I have 4 numbers followed by 4 letters, I think, right? So let's go back. Yeah, so we have 4 numbers followed by 4 letters, and the serial number, not the model number. And the first number is a 4. So what does that mean? Go back here. The first number is the year, and that's an example. 7 is 2007. Well, I have a 4, so it's 2004. And then the week. So I can tell my client exactly how old that heat pump is. It was made in 2004. I didn't have to go through all that, because actually at the top right corner it says manufacturing date, July 2004. But not all manufacturers, like American Standard, provides that really nice information for home inspectors. You have to look it up if you wanted to. Refrigerant line, suction line, insulated well goes through the foundation wall. The electric disconnect is within sight. That's good. No frost-free hose bibs on the back side. That's a bathroom, kitchen, dryer, something, exhaust hood. Can't get to it. It's above my head. Thermostat. It's not a high, not an efficient programmable thermostat. It's almost like a manual one. I go back in. Now I'm doing the interior. I'm in the basement, following the standards of practice about inspecting the structure of the home. And I go right to the ledger board to see if there's anything that I can see more. Water, mold, moisture, conditions conducive to mold growth. I know you have to follow your local regulations about saying the word mold or being a mold inspector. I would get licensed or certified if you have that opportunity. It's really worth it, because all good mold inspectors, by the way, are moisture inspectors. And we have a moisture certification program if you're interested in becoming a moisture inspector and then become a mold inspector. So I move drop ceiling panels when I need to. I do them randomly, and I do them intentionally at specific areas, like this ledger board area. You're not required to move drop-down ceiling, but I do. And it usually turns out like a good guess. So here I can see, remember those two lag screws? One was installed bigger and the other one was installed a smaller diameter. Well, I think that's because that one missed the structure, the wooden component. So they had to install another one, but I don't know. But that's another indication of poor installation. The lag screws of the deck ledger board weren't even attaching securely to the structure of the home. Heat pump interior unit, that's the evaporator. I can see a few things from 10 feet away. I know this is not a gas-fired unit, it's electric. There's actually electric line going into it to the heating element. There's my refrigerant lines going in. I have a condensate line with a trap, that's good, it's draining away. I have ductwork, and I can see by the orientation, airflow goes like this. I'm expecting an air filter down here, and air comes up through the evaporator, gets heated or cooled, and then is supplied that way. And I'm looking at all the joints. Sometimes if I can, I'll take this part off, pull this front off, pull this off, look at something, maybe the evaporator, maybe some other components inside, and take a look on the inside of the unit if I can. If you don't know how to inspect a heat pump system, no big deal, because InterNACHI has an online course. It's on our main education page. There's a huge list of online courses that are free to our members. And if you want to search for HVAC, you drop down. Here's our HVAC course, how to inspect HVAC systems. A heat pump is a HVAC system. And there's a whole chapter on heat pumps. And there's a short introduction with a really nice graphic about the heating cycle and cooling cycle. And then you click the main slide, and it talks about the types of heat pumps, air source, ground source, water source, the cycles, the heating cycle, the cooling cycle, the defrost cycle, the interior heating element, the compressor, a typical defrost cycle, and causes of frost. And that's a really good resource to use if you wanted to know how to inspect a heat pump system, or if you think you already do. Maybe you need a little review. There's a serial number, manufacturing number. We can look it up again, but we don't. I know some of you, like in Texas, you're required to test a few components and even measure the temperature, the delta T, the in and the out. There's a little condensate pump. This charges outside. There's the air filter. I pull it out. I take a picture of the size so that my client knows what the size and location is and the orientation of the air filter. Follow the standards of practice, and the next thing up is plumbing. There's the drain waste vent pipes. So when I'm in the basement in particular, I look above and I'm looking for anything that's connected. Like this is a toilet flange I can see. I'm following the way water moves. Just like I follow the way water moves from the roof, exterior, and grade, I follow the water inside the home. So I do the discharge first, and then I do water supply second, and then I do hot water source. So let's do that. So all of these are pipes coming from the fixtures above, the connections. There's the clean out. That's nice. Then water supply in. It's not a metal copper pipe. It's a plastic pipe. So I don't need a jumper, but there's a water valve. It's not leaking at the meter. There's another shutoff valve, a secondary one. The meter line goes out. The sensor is on the outside of the house. There's the hot water source, water tank, water heater. It's installed in 2005. It's got a little efficiency, smart timer on it. That's nice. The size of the unit, 50 gallons. Shutoff valves on the hot and cold. Discharge TPR valve. Good stuff. Electric panel. I come to the electric panel and I open it up. One thing, be safe. You are not required to remove any dead front cover on any electrical panel. Don't do it. It's not a lot of high voltage there, but if you're going to do it, understand that it's hazardous and you're not required to do it. But if you do, go beyond the standards. Wear some safety equipment. 2 fingers means 200 amps. 1.5 means 150. 1 finger means 100. Little tip there. I take a picture of every breaker to make sure that they're all on. If they're off, I don't reset it. If it's tripped off, I take a picture of that trip. There could be a hazard there. If it's turned off, I make sure I leave it turned off. We don't turn any water valves or gas valves or breakers back on if we find them off. Every breaker needs to be labeled and identified for its use. The wires are modern Romex. There's a missing screw at the bottom left corner. I remove the panel. You're not required to. It's 200 amp. I could see some overfusing. Everything looks good in there. But if you wanted to know more about gauging, I don't want to use gauge, evaluating the gauge of the wire in comparison to the size of the breaker and looking for overfusing, a really big breaker on a small wire. We have that kind of training for you, and you don't have to open up an electrical panel. So it's our electrical course, and it's basically just a table. And this table shows the most common conductor sizes used in residential branch circuits, along with their maximum permitted breaker or fuse size. And so I had a 30 amp breaker, and it should be connected to a 10 gauge wire. So I know that standard. I'm not a code inspector, but I know that standard. I use code as a foundation, as a reference, really. I can tell my client this is incorrect because of this standard. And it's usually a building standard. And building standards really are safety standards. You know, when they change the code, it's because somebody got hurt. So keep up with the modern standards and best practices and keep people safe. A hairline crack in the foundation wall, no big problem here. It's hairline, it's barely open, thinner than a penny on edge, and it's a typical hairline crack. However, if you're not sure about hairline cracks, we have an excellent article written by my brother Nick and Kenton Shepard, who did a massive amount of research on visually inspecting concrete. And you go through everything, even the materials, how concrete is mixed. And then we have really nice high-res pictures of conditions of concrete that you may see during an inspection, including this kind of stuff. Shrinkage, drying rates in concrete, and things you may see on a driveway or paved way, and also this kind of stuff, some flaking, some patching, and some cracking. So take a look at that. It's a really great article. If you can't find it, it's in our library of inspection articles at natchi.org/articles. Going back, we have a long way to go, and we only have about 15 minutes left. David asks, what type of camera do you recommend? Brand, memory. I like Canon, but that's personally my choice. But, you know, if you're doing a mobile device, then, you know, you could take a picture with your mobile device, a Droid or an iPad or iPhone. There are software companies. Home Inspector Pro is good with Apple products for mobile devices. But did I show you this? Or was this before class? I think this is before class. So this is my infrared camera, C2. It's a FLIR C2, low resolution. And what it does is it provides me the ability to see things that I wouldn't normally see without it, kind of like a flashlight. Without a flashlight in a dark basement, there's a lot of things I wouldn't be able to see without it. So an infrared camera, I kind of consider it the same thing. It's nothing special to me. I'm not measuring anything. I could care less about temperature. But I am trained to understand what I'm looking at, which has everything to do with temperature, actually. So, you know, you have to be trained before you pick up one of these. So here's my FLIR C2. I don't know if I can get the camera shot on it. But anyways, that's it. And you see so just an example, like what if we just get a spray can, I don't know, and throw that there, and then see what it looks like from 10 feet away. Can you see that from 10 feet away? Oh, I don't know if you can. Oh, here it is. Oh, I don't have my screen open. Sorry about that. Here. Now you can see. Ready? So that's where I sprayed. And I'm walking back. Now I'm behind the camera for the class. And there's my computer and my coffee. So it even sprayed on the floor, the water droplets. So to my eye, even to my touch, really can't, it could be a little cool here, but I can't tell. And first, I'm not going to touch all the floor space, but from 10 feet away, I can see that there's an anomaly here. And that's all I use this for. I want to know if there's an anomaly going on and there's a temperature difference being shown. And I understand what that is, but I actually don't measure the temperature. So this is an interesting tool. It allows you to see things that you wouldn't normally see. And you can use it for adding value to your services. And it can be part of your brand and marketing message as well. So I really think that's kind of cool. These infrared cameras are amazing. This is a FLIR C2, and you can get this FLIR C2 at our, again, e-commerce partner. I know I've said it many times, but it's called inspectoroutlet.com, and you go there for all of your tools. Let's see. Let's go faster, yeah? Oh, Frank says, liability issues. Are liability issues a concern? Are you aware of anyone having claims filed by clients? I was taken to court. Are they mostly minor claims? Would you please discuss liability and how to protect yourself? Sure. It's fun to be taken to small claims court because, in my experience it is, because I did great inspections, provided great reports. And if you were here at the beginning of the class, we talked about using a standards of practice that is reflected in everything that I do and provide to my client. So it's all one message, including my agreement, the contractual agreement between me and my client. And it carries that message forward. And now they sign an agreement saying that they understand the services that I provide. I was taking the small claims over a misunderstanding or someone just trying to get money. And it was about cat urine in the carpet. And that's not part of the home inspection, not part of the scope. I was in and out in about, my partner and I were in and out about 10 minutes because we referred to the standards of practice, which was reflected in what we did at the inspection, which is reflected in the inspection reports and everything else that we provided, including the home maintenance book that we provided. And the agreement tied it all up and made it official. So get that agreement. We have an online agreement system through InterNACHI. We have a training video about it where you send your client to the agreement over the web, they log in, they can actually sign the agreement on their iPhone or iPad or device, and then send it back to you. And you can manage all of your clients and all of your agreements through your InterNACHI members only account. And I don't have stats. We don't have stats on how many inspectors have been sued, although we have a bunch of articles about publicly provided court cases where you can go and read about the inspectors that have been sued and how it worked out for them. What is a quick way to tell if it is a heat pump or an AC? Yeah, there isn't. They're essentially the same. It's kind of funny. There are ways, but they really are the same. I went through the AHIT course, a good company, before I found InterNACHI. How do I know how many credit hours AHIT? So anything like that, just send me an email and I can help you out with your CEs. Do you need a drain pan under the water here? Yeah, so that's going to be actually in my inspection report, which we won't get to. But you can email me if you want to see the inspection report for this class that we're going through. Do you have infrared cameras also? So about the pan, anywhere there's a hot water tank, I don't care where it is, in the basement and crawl space, there should be a pan underneath it, okay, to catch water leak, because this thing is going to leak. I mean, no one can predict when a hot water source is going to, a tank is going to leak, so it better have a pan under it. And that drainage pipe should be going in a smart location, like downhill to a receptor that can take that leak away. They now also have alarms, so an alarm would be a great idea. They have pans underneath evaporator units, air conditioning units, let's say, for example, in an attic space with a pan, 2 drains, an alarm system that shuts off the unit, and all this stuff for that. But they don't have anything for, it's rare that I see a hot water tank protected. So I put it in the report. Do infrared cameras also take regular photos? Yeah. I think the infrared cameras that I know of, they all did. The FLIR C2 does, and it's really great. You get both pictures immediately when you take a picture. You get both infrared and the regular picture, which is bigger, and then you could manipulate if you wanted to. I understand some high-end cameras will do that for you. They embed the infrared within the regular picture, but this is the low resolution, low affordable C2 camera. Is this being recorded so I can watch it? Yes. Yep, you missed the beginning of the class when I explained that. If all breakers are not labeled, do you recommend electricians evaluate? Yeah, so that's the best practice, standard practice. On new homes, I expect it. Older homes, I kind of, so I recommend that. That is a way for me to get an electrician to the house, or at least to put in the report that an electrician, a licensed electrician, should come and identify every breaker. I would want to know that. I'm in a home right now. None of the breakers are identified. It's kind of fun because we use it in training videos. But, you know, in the middle of the night, you know, when you need to turn the breaker back on because the electric heater blew, you know, in my daughter's bedroom because it's cold, because the house was built in the 70s. You know, you want that breaker labeled. So I call out defects like that, right? It's really a safety issue. In an emergency, you really need, that's why it's in the code, because there was probably someone hurt because they couldn't identify the actual breaker that was needed to be turned off. I'm just guessing. I don't know what the story is, but it's in the code for a reason. It's because it's best practice. It's how you build it. The home is going to perform better, or it's a safety issue. It's a great discussion to have with other inspectors, actually, on the message board. You should go to our forum and start that conversation. What specifically do we look for when inspecting a flame on a heating device using a mirror? Right. I've never used, Frank, I never used a mirror. I never I've never probed within the heat exchanger to get in there, because once I go beyond into the burner chamber, into the heat exchanger, I've gone I've crossed the line for myself. So I don't want to get my eyes, I don't want to tell my client that I was inspecting the interior of the heat exchanger. It's specifically in the standards of practice that we're not required to inspect flues or interior heat exchangers. So if I go in there with a mirror, I'm probably telling my client that I am inspecting the heat exchanger. So I pull back. I don't go past the pilot light or the ignition for the flames, for the burners. Kind of stay out here, if that's the heating system, right? About a foot away. That's where my eye is. And I don't want to go too far in, because then the further you go beyond the standards, the more responsibility you take. And it just makes sense. So I draw the line at the burners. I don't go in. What does InterNACHI have? A job listing section for employment? Yeah, we have websites. We have this way to collect leads on the internet and direct them to your website. You can actually manage those inspection leads that come, and the people that hit your website. You can actually count them. And there's a few ways that InterNACHI creates inspection job leads for you. New Jersey requires inspectors to use a mirror to inspect the flame. Oh, great. I'm guessing maybe it's for, yeah. So follow the standards of practice. Local trumps all national. So InterNACHI is an international organization. We teach inspectors all over the world We have courses for South Africa and Australia and Mexico, Canada. So if you have a particular requirement, either a certification or licensing requirement for your profession, or standards of practice like Texas or New Jersey, that trumps everything. You have to follow your local stuff. You even have to follow the recommendations provided by your local AHJ, authority having jurisdiction. Doesn't matter what the code actually says. It's the person who has that local authority. So, yeah. Right. So I don't know your local stuff, right? But if you're required to use a mirror, use a mirror. So that's a 3-tine hoe that I use. It's a gardening tool, has 3 tines, and one is straight. I bend them. One is straight, one is a little bit bent, and one is really curved. So I can move insulation and put it right back. Move insulation and put it right back. You're not required to move insulation, but that's what I do to find stuff. And that's a moisture probe, providing an audible and a light sensor to tell me if it's sensing moisture. And that actually is a covered sump pump. So there's a sump pump pit there, no pump. It's hollow. I've used my hand. I had to use my hand to find it. This is a great tool, your hand. Use it, take it wherever you go. Hopefully everybody has 2 of them. And use your hand for testing for moisture, temperature, and also sound. But also, this would have picked it up as well because there's a bit of a temperature difference between the carpeting that's lying on the basement concrete and the carpeting that is above a cavity. Let's see. If you wanted to learn more about how to inspect for moisture intrusion, you can become an InterNACHI certified moisture intrusion inspector. We have a certification program for that. And holy cow, we're beyond the 1-hour mark. I want to respect your time. We were scheduled for a 1-hour class. So I thank you very much. We didn't even get to the interior yet. We have a long way to go. We have another 25% of the inspection to go. We won't be able to make it. So I thank you all for coming. If you want the slides, I'm going to put them on this webpage, nachi.org/webinar. Okay. The slides will be there, the photographs, the inspection report. We didn't get to the inspection report, but the main defect, the material defect in this home inspection was the deck. I hope you enjoyed everything, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody. Bye.